Hey there, everybody in Internet. Dave Adams here with the Budget Audiophile. For those who are new, all we're about here is having a lot of fun with home theaters, with listening areas. We love music, we love movies, we love sound. So it's just all about getting that immersive experience, whether you're listening to your favorite song or watching your favorite movie. It's all about just being a part of it. And the way we tend to do that here is, we're working on a budget, as the title says. So we're building speakers, we're building subwoofers, we're sourcing out amplifiers like the Behringer iNukes and, crown amplifiers, things like that. We're actually going online, we're trying to source those for the best price possible. And we're building theaters, we're building listening areas. So I think if you guys stick around, you're really gonna like that. So hey, if you want to, feel free to subscribe, click like, comment, click dislike. Let us know what you do and what you do like, what you don't like. Do you not like this upward angle I got going on here, or should I say downward angle? So yeah, we are just gonna jump right into this video because there's a lot of changes that have happened since my last home theater walkthrough. I'm gonna try to get my Budget Audiophile buddy Chris to jump on here as well and get a video of his theater, because I think you guys will really enjoy what he's got going on. He's a lot better at woodworking than I am, so he builds a lot better looking speakers and a lot better looking subwoofers than I do. So yeah, let's jump right into this whole video thing, because behind me, as you can see, a lot of stuff is different. You don't see any speakers straight away. They're actually behind, they're underneath all that AT, acoustically transparent fabric that you see behind me. I just kind of did that because I really wanted to see how much more involved or how much more immersive a movie is when you strip away, having these gigantic speakers in front of you. And yeah, my fronts each have two 10s in them, and my center has a 12 in it. So you have four 10s and a 12. People are too busy when they're trying to watch a movie down here. They're too busy staring at the speakers to actually join in and actually watch the movie. So it's kind of cool to be able to get that going. But let me reposition this camera and let's just, get this whole video thing going. All right, guys. So before we jump too far into this, I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of what this looks like. So, pardon the pull. This is what it looks like while the movie's playing with the lights on. You can see the subwoofers and speakers are all covered up with that acoustically transparent fabric. We'll get into more detail on that. And you've got the Home Gear 130-inch with a DIY frame around it built in. So I just kind of want to show you guys what it looks like with the lights on. And this is what it looks like with the lights off. You can see everything disappears. The only thing you see is the movie and the occasional glint from one of my spotlights that I've got up there, one of my little ceiling lights that I've got up there. So sconce lighting. But yeah, so got a lead of Battle Angel playing in the background while we shoot this video. But yeah, so that's why we went with all black, and that's why I went with the acoustically transparent fabric over the speakers, because I just wanted all that to hide. All I wanted people to do was just watch the movie. Don't worry about the sound. Just let the movie envelop you. And even for me, I know where every single speaker is. I know where every single subwoofer is, and I still get lost in it. I still sometimes find myself glancing around the room looking for where'd that voice come from, or, where'd that explosion come from. I was like, it's so cool when these things all come together. So yeah, let's get into this and have some more fun. All right, guys, so this is what I want to talk about first. I think you guys are really going to like this one. I'm really excited to show you this. This is the first subwoofer I ever built. I think you're going to like it. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the fabric away and let you guys check it out. Okay, so peeling back the acoustically transparent fabric, you can see what we've got going on here. This is a 16-inch by 48-inch cylinder sub built with a sonotube enclosure. I've seen people build these things with water heater enclosures. I've seen people custom build their own cylinder enclosures. Any way you do it, I think you'll like it. If you've got a lot of up and down room to work with and you don't want to take up a lot of floor space, or if you just like the aesthetic of cylinder subs, the appearance of cylinder subs, or you just want to see what a cylinder subwoofer can do, I highly recommend you guys try building one of these for yourselves. And if you're watching the Budget Audiophile, chances are you're interested in building your own stuff. So, because that's all we do here, right? We build our stuff. We try to find stuff at good prices. But yeah, so try to build yourself one of these guys. They're really solid, really rigid. A cylinder is just really hard to beat the rigidity of. This one has a 4-inch port tuned to about 14 hertz. I've got it running at 600 watts from the amplifier, and we'll get into all that stuff later. It's really good to go. I think you guys will really like building one of these things for yourself. But this is now moved to the front. I think on the last video, this might have been more towards the center of the theater. I can't remember, but I'll get some B-roll footage of, you know, a more full shot of this thing. But I mean, I'm 6'2", and you can see when this thing comes to me, you know, so it's not short. So it takes up a lot of wall space if you want to like have it up against the wall or corner loaded. It's going to be a tall thing that's in the corner, but I think it's worth it because it takes up a very small footprint, and you get 6 cubic feet of internal volume. And inside of this, we've got a 15-inch reference subwoofer from Parts Express. It's the 390HF, I believe. The other Budget Audiophile, Chris, he's got several enclosures that he's built with these 390HFs running well into the 100 dB down at like 8 hertz. And I'm serious, 8 hertz, he's hitting 90, 100 dB all day long with a 15. So these subwoofers can take all the juice you throw at them as long as you know how to work your high pass and low pass filters, right? So they could take some serious punishment, and you can really just throw all the frequency at them, and they respond really well, especially when you have like an 8-foot ceiling. I can't recommend this thing enough. I really want to ramble on all day, and I could ramble on all day just about this one sub, but we have 8 other subwoofers to cover and a bunch of other speakers and all the other gear, so I'm going to cover this back up, and we're going to move to the front speakers. All right? All right, so I think the camera's a little tilted, but we'll work it out later. I don't care. This is just a quick and dirty video. It's probably going to be like 1,000,000 minutes long, though. So this is my front stage. Behind me, you can see over here, we've got our front left speaker, or the front right speaker rather, because left, right, right, left. All right, so this is my front right speaker, and this guy is actually an Optimus T200 is how it started off its life. However, I've gone in there and I've replaced, as you can see, if you know what the Optimus T200 looks like, you can tell I've pretty much replaced everything in this speaker. So save for one driver, each of them still have their original sub bass driver in them, but I've replaced it with the reference 10-inch from Dayton Audio. I've replaced the mid-ranges with mid-ranges from Infinity, and those are clipped horns that are in them now, and they're all been rebalanced with a customized crossover parts supplied from Parts Express. They sound really good. They hit all the right notes. They sound great musically, even though I don't really listen to music in my theater. I have a separate listening area with, you know, off-the-shelf $1,300 speakers that I use there. But so these are great for music. Even like I said, even though I don't listen to music, so if you guys are wanting to build something like this for music, you won't be disappointed. Those clip horns really help project out, and the Infinities carry the mid-range perfectly. It just balances so well. And when you're watching movies, it just feels so good. When you're watching movies, you have 410s on your main stage just slapping you in the face. 410s for your front, left, and right channels. It's crazy. So we've got the clipped horns that are doing their job, screaming out. And in the center here, I'm gonna move out the way, we've got a Kenwood with a 12-inch and 5, yes, that's right, 5 high-range speakers. So these are, this is a Kenwood, what's that model number there? LS P7300. I have not had a chance to go through and actually modify this. I haven't had a chance to go through and modify this because I haven't really needed to. It sounds really good. It really projects out well. The timbre between all 3 speakers is just spot on. I do run my center channel a bit hot, so it just handles everything you could throw at it. I mean, it says it's rated up to 35,000 hertz. I don't believe it, but I know that when I'm running REW, I can get every bit of 20,000 hertz out of this thing, and that's all I need. That's all I need for my theater because I run Odyssey, so it tends to roll things off at the top anyway. Like I said, this is mainly for movies. I don't listen to a lot of music here, so those super high range, 25,000 hertz and above sounds, I don't really care about those in the theater. In my music area, yes. Here, not so much. It's got a 12 in it, and it's got 5 speakers for the high range, for mid range, and your tweeters. It's really crazy. This is just a really good sounding setup. To the left and to the right of it, you can see we've got 2 15-inch drivers. This is a 5.8 this is a 5.8 cubic foot enclosure, or a this is a 5.8 cubic foot enclosure. It goes way, look at this, it goes way back here. This is a deep boy right here. And another reason why I cover everything up is because with the lights on, aesthetically, everything's not where I really want it to be right now, but we're working on that. I'm gonna get this thing painted, and we'll get that going. Speaking of that, both of these are tuned really low. This one's tuned to about 18 hertz. That one, believe it or not, is tuned to about 12 hertz. We had a lot of fun with that one. This one has a 4-inch port that goes back and then curves up. Don't ask me, no, so it's just PVC. I was gonna say, don't ask me how I did. No, it's actually just basic PVC piping, and it goes in and then curves up to give us the length we need by the 4 inches. You can see by the little circle that's to the right of it that I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to put another port in there because I want to get a little bit more SPL out of it. I just haven't had the chance to run out to the park store to buy another pipe. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm building a race car. I'll get some B-roll footage of my race car doing its thing. It's a Mercedes-Benz S600, full roll cage, full suspension. We just ripped the V12 out of it to rebuild it. We're going to put the V12 back in it. And this thing's going to be crazy. So you guys are really, if you guys watch any of my other channels, you know I'm a motorsports guy first and foremost. I love audio, but cars come first. My daily drivers are a Mercedes-Benz S550 and a Porsche Panamera S. And I do love my German cars. I do love going 200 miles per hour, and I do love going sideways. Unfortunately, those take most of the money. So when it's like, you know, when it comes down to the wire and it's like, do I want to buy a wiring harness for a Mercedes, or do I want to buy another PVC pipe and then cut this thing open and spend hours doing this and then rebalancing the theater? Because once you do anything, you got to retune everything to go around it, right? Race car is always going to win. So again, this is a huge thing. This is actually 6.4 cubic feet. It's a gigantic box for a 15-inch woofer. Or subwoofer rather. It's stupid. It really gets low and it just shoves air out of it. So I know that when I put another port on this thing, I'm gonna get probably another 2 decibel just from adding that second port. If I don't get 3 decibel from adding that second port. It's gonna be very exciting when that happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover this all back up. I discussed it a lot. If you guys have any questions about my front stage, please comment. Email me, thebudgetaudiophile22@gmail.com. Comment below, ask questions. Hit us up on Facebook, The Budget Audiophile. You'll see us posting in Home Theater for Everyone, Home Theater Fanatics, Youth Man Group. We're big fans of Youth Man here at Budget Audiophile. So yeah, hit us up, ask questions. If you have any questions or comments or concerns about anything, let me know, let us know. We'll answer those questions straight away. So let me cover this back up and we'll talk about the electronics, because that's always fun. Before we get going, I got everything covered back up, and I just thought about something. I know a lot of DIYers who are hardcore DIY guys. They do not believe that taking a box that's pre-built and just putting speakers inside of it or putting components inside of it is DIY. I do not subscribe to that philosophy at the Budget Audiophile. So I don't subscribe to that philosophy. We just don't subscribe to that philosophy at Budget Audiophile. We all have other hobbies, and I believe that if you're taking a box and you're putting your own components in it, you're putting your own drivers in it, you're putting your own crossover, especially if you're building those crossovers from scratch, it's your speaker. That's no longer an Optimus T200. It's the Optimus T200 container, but the drivers inside of it, it's no longer going to respond like an Optimus T200 would have. I believe this sounds a lot better than the original Optimus T200, even though those were very good, or are, for those who still have them, are very good sounding speakers. But yes, I just want to say that because as we go forward, I'm going to say the words DIY a lot. And for people who don't believe that taking a box and putting your own driver in it, or taking a box and putting some crossovers in it, if it's a prefab box, is not true DIY, then I mean, we're just going to have to disagree on that. I don't think we have to agree to disagree, because it's a factual difference, not a factual difference, it's a philosophical difference on what you believe versus what I believe. And I'm not going to argue with you, because you're right. You're absolutely right. And I feel I'm right as well. I feel there's a lot of room in this awesome world of audio for everyone to get along. Let's just get along. Let's have fun. Keep it civil in the comments. And let's move on to those electronics.
All right, guys, so pardon the framing and pardon the wire mess I've got going on back here. I just built a new subwoofer to complement the rear seats, and yeah, the wires are still a bit of a mess. I was messing with the DSP, I was messing with a bunch of things, and things just ran differently, so a lot of things, it's going to look a little messy, but hopefully you guys can forgive me this one time. I promise I'll clean it up for the next presentation. Let's jump right into the electronics here. I've got a Sony X800. This is a great Blu-ray player for me. I know a lot of people have had issues with them. I had one issue that was actually fixed with the firmware patch, or a firmware upgrade, I should say. Upgraded the firmware. It's been solid ever since. I run 4K UHD discs in here as well as standard Blu-ray. For me, I'm more about the immersive audio. So if I can get Dolby Atmos out of a standard Blu-ray, I'll go with the standard Blu-ray. Or DTSX out of a standard Blu-ray, I'll go with the standard Blu-ray. If I can get, if I have to go with, the 4K UHD to get Atmos or the DTSX, I should say, or the Atmos, then I will go with the 4K. And this thing has no issues going from 4K and then downscaling to meet my projector's needs, because I have an Epson 2150 as my projector. So as you guys know, that's HD 1080p only. So yeah, UHD discs downscale just fine. There's nice thunderous meaty bass, full highs, crazy mid-range. And this is just all over the place, and it does Dolby Atmos and DTSX with no issues. So yeah, I'm super stoked with it. I'm super happy with it. And if you guys are looking for an affordable Blu-ray player, the X800, you could do a lot worse than it. I know the Panasonic is a faster Blu-ray player, but it's also more expensive. This is the one I would go with. If I had to do it all over again, I'd probably buy another one of these. So yeah, moving right along, we have the Denon 4400. I know in other posts I have mentioned that this is a 4500, and that was me misspeaking, so no, it's a 4400. It does have all the latest firmware. This thing also kicks ass. You see the size of the speakers I'm running throughout my theater. This thing has no problem running any of those speakers, and it does get warm. So if you guys are in a tight room or a sealed room, or you don't have a great HVAC system like we're down here in a basement, so it really doesn't get hot despite the sweat that I've got going on. That's because I was walking my dogs. This thing does get warm, but if you have a climate controlled room or a really cold room, that's not going to be a problem for you. This thing just runs warm. Just if you get a 4400, expect it to run warm. So yeah. Down below, this guy that you see me touching right here is a Onkyo TX-NR 709. This controls my Atmos channels. I know, is it the best thing in the world to use a receiver as a amplifier for your Atmos? I don't know. It does have preamp ins, so I'm going to use it. I had it lying around. I didn't have to buy anything else. I didn't have to go out and buy another amplifier just to run my height channels. I was like, you know what? This thing kicks out 130 watts per channel. That's more than my Atmos channels need. I'm going to use it. And I did. This guy right here, this gigantic 7U, this thing is 7U on a rack. This is a Pile PT, it's the PT8000CH. It says it's 8,000 watts. The way my audiophile friends and I like to joke is we say it's 8,000 watts ILS. That's if lightning strikes. If lightning hits this thing head on, it'll give you 8,000 watts per channel. We've actually clamped it out, and you can technically get 8,000, or you can technically get 1,000 watts per channel. We clamp metered it and everything. However, yeah, you're gonna get some harmonic distortion going on there. There's gonna be a little. You have to expect some total harmonic distortion per channel. But I'm running, like I said, this thing is actually kicking out a clean 600 watts to that one subwoofer, and I'm kicking out 400 or 500 watts to the other subwoofers. And this thing has no problem doing that. So when I say 8,000 watts, no, it is a 50-pound unit. So this thing is not light. But I would say it's 500 watts per channel, easy. And if you bridge it down, you can get 650, 700 watts per channel with very little distortion. And if you're just running subwoofers, that distortion's not really going to matter to you until you get to like the 1%, 2% mark. And don't quote me on that, but that's just what I believe. I believe it's like that 1%, 2% where you're going to start hearing that type noise where it's like, oh yeah, I can hear another note trying to come through. When it's playing 20 hertz, I can hear, 40 hertz trying to come out. But Yeah, no, I will say if you're just looking for 500 watts per channel, 600 watts per channel, maybe 700 watts per channel, you can do a lot worse than this. The only problem I have with this being a pile unit is, other than the name, I don't like the name pile. That's just hilarious because it sets itself up for so many pile of jokes. This thing right here is the pile name has quality issues, not so much in the build quality of the individual units. I've had no issues with this. The fans are whisper quiet, everything off, this thing on. You hear no fan noise from this. There is no ground loop hum with this thing. It's dead silent. There's no problems with this, but that's because I got lucky, and I understand I got lucky. It's quality. It's quality over 1,000 units that you're going to have issues with pile. So while I would recommend this one amplifier to anyone who wants a subwoofer amplifier and wants to power 8 subwoofers or 4 subwoofers with a lot of juice. I can't recommend the name, but I can recommend that you go out and buy one because you can get it for like $200 or $300. You can buy this one from me. I'll sell it to you for like $300, and yeah, they'll just give me my money back. And this thing will actually rock your theater. You'll get more than $300 worth of stuff out of your theater. One thing I did do is, as you can see here, I don't know how well that shows up on the 1080p. Maybe if I was shooting in 4K, but I put electrical tape over the VU meters because you can't turn the VU meters off. And my theater gets pitch black. So these are very distracting when you're trying to watch movies. Yeah, I went ahead and just put some electrical tape over those. You can have this thing set to trigger. It could do bridge. It could do individual channels in mono, stereo. It's a really good amplifier for what you're paying. I have a hard time saying, yeah, go buy one of these because I know that your mileage will most certainly vary. I have had no issues with this. I'm getting what I believe is acceptable wattage for the price paid. However, I know that the next person may not get that. And I'm sorry to go into such brevity, into such length with this and not be very brief, but I want to be clear that I'm not saying go out and buy a pile PT8000CH. I'm saying I bought one. I took the risk. I bought one and it paid off. So do with that information what you will. Let's jump into, actually, before we move on, I want to say that down here, this guy right here is just it's a power conditioner, nothing crazy. I just have some things running through it to help clean up some of the, the noise that's in the electrical lines because these are all shared circuits and stuff in a house, and I haven't had the chance to isolate the channels, so shared circuits, I'm going to run a power conditioner, and I've got a mini DSP back there, a 2x4. I'm going to get another 2x4, but it's probably going to be an HD, and when I do that, I'll probably just buy 2x4 HD so I can get that maximum delay separation and phase delay and things like that. So I want to make sure that I get all that stuff in my favor because I've got a big theater, 1,200 square feet, and and I've got a lot of subwoofers of different configurations. So I want to make sure that I can do the best with what I've got. I'm getting pretty flat. Working with just the one 2x4 non-HD, I'm getting pretty flat response. So I'm looking very much forward to when I get the 2x4 HD and I'm actually able to start kicking ass with some massive delay numbers, especially when I get 2 of these things running. I can control each one of my subwoofers individually. That'll be fantastic. But until then, I'll just do with what I got, and it sounds just fine. It sounds really good down here. I would invite anyone to come down here and watch a movie. You'll be blown away. So let's move on and let's get to some of the more fun stuff. Let's get to some more speakers and subwoofers. All right, so I had to move my end table out of the way so I can kind of kneel down here and get down where my subwoofers are. This is the name of the game in my theater is DIY, if you guys aren't aware. I've said it like a million times throughout this entire video so far, and I'm going to keep saying it, but the name of the game is DIY, so if I can DIY it, I'm gonna. If I can take a existing cabinet and put my own little flair on it, put my own little touch to it, I'm gonna. Let's just move right along. So this is a DIY subwoofer. It's got a 12-inch driver in it, dual voice coil. This is just, I got this really, really heavy box. I can't pick up this. The enclosure itself is literally 60 pounds, and it's got a 12-pound subwoofer in it. This thing altogether weighs 72 pounds. This is just solid wood. Listen to that. There's no hollowness to it whatsoever. I got this thing, I was rummaging around, and I found this on Nextdoor. It's Dixaquera boutique subwoofer enclosure. The driver was blown, so I just popped my own driver in it. Reran the dual voice coils down to the individual packs back here. Maybe I'll roll some B-roll footage and show you guys what it looks like behind it. So rolling back here, you see these guys back here. These are 18-inch drivers. The enclosures are from Rockville. I know, but the enclosures themselves are from Rockville. They have Lavoce or Lavoce. Go on Parts Express, Lavoce. Is it Lavoce, Lavos? What is it? I don't know. Let's call them Lavos. I like the way Lavos comes out. Lavos drivers inside of them, I can get them down to about 20 hertz, but they're dropping some massive dB because they're only 4.3 cubic foot enclosures. So they're dropping some massive dB at 20 hertz. So I've got them actually on their high pass filter is set to 30 hertz. Yeah, I've got them set to 30 hertz, which I know is very, very high for an 18. However, with the application, you can see what these things are. This is my front. These are my front seats. That's where the 18s are. Two of them. Two 18s directly behind the front seats. All these things are doing is just shaking the sofa apart. So yeah, it's all for that kick in the pants stuff. When I want to get below 30 hertz, I've got 315s, and I'll get to my other 18 back there in a 9 cubic foot enclosure that can absolutely get down into the single digits at over 100 decibel. Back there, I'm going to walk back there. Back here is the SVS CS1646. 46 inches tall, 16 inches across, massive SVS 12-inch driver in this thing. It is absolutely crazy, guys. It's rated down to 12 hertz, and I'm hitting 10 hertz easily out of a 12-inch driver. That's just crazy talk. Youth Man just got through reviewing a Monolith 15, which is like a $1,500 subwoofer or a $1,400 subwoofer that gets down and dirty at 10 hertz. This thing is getting down and dirty at 10 hertz with a 12-inch driver, and I think it's because it's a cylinder tube, the cylinder subwoofer design. That cylinder, that's why I built that one, because I know that those cylinders, they're fantastic for reaching down low. You can really reach down into the single digits with one if you tune it properly. That's what I've got going on in there. So behind me, you can see our movies. I've got tons of stuff back here. You can see the movie collection extends all the way down to the bottom there and goes all the way to the top. Yeah, I've got a ton of movies. I've got some nice swag in the center there. I've got my, stuff from the Marine Corps, URA, USMC. I've got some Line and Coney stuff because I'm a total weeb at heart. And I like having physical copies of movies. I may be a millennial, but I do like having physical copies of media. Also because physical media sounds the best. Digital is getting there, but it's nowhere near it yet. All right, so back here you can see I've got these two DIY speakers right here, and these are what I consider true DIY. I did take a prefab cabinet. These are just no-name prefab cabinets made out of MDF and covered in a nice, looks like a red oak veneer. So yes, I've got some no-name piece of crap, cheap off eBay, 7-inch mid-range woofers here. These are mid-woofers, not mid-range, not standard mid-range drivers. These are actually mid-woofers. These things can probably, I've measured them down to 40 hertz. I know they can go down to 30. I just don't run them down to 30. The crossover has these things kicking at about 50. That's because, as you can see on that one down here, I've got a Infinity 8-inch driver, and anybody who knows Infinity drivers, they know that those reference drivers can reach all the way down as far as they want to go. So I've got this thing running down to basically 0 hertz, and this thing kicks out at right around, I believe, 100 hertz. So then these things kick in at about 50, so you got about a 50 hertz overlap. And then I've got the tweeters up here are from MSE Audio, the company that made Phase Tech back in the day. MSE makes a lot of really high-end stuff, and they collaborate with a lot of high-end manufacturers to make their crossovers and things like that. So I've got MSE drivers up here, and these things absolutely scream all the way to the top. I don't want to go into too much detail because that's where it really gets boring. Unless you guys want me to go into detail, let me know in the comments down below if you guys want me to go into detail about how these things were built, what crossovers went into them, and what the individual drivers are, what they're rated at, what they can do, how they sound. But yeah, so that's where these are my surround sides. You notice I had to have them at an angle here, so people tend to believe that when people are back here watching movies that they're missing out on all this information. I have not noticed that. I've sat back here several times watching movies, and I get all of the information from the surround sides. I haven't noticed it. I'm pretty sure a THX person or Steve Smith or someone would be like, oh my God, why are you doing it like that? But I don't believe these guys are missing anything. I'm thinking about taking them and turning them in, but having 2 rows of seating makes it a little complicated to where I feel I'd have to push these out more. And because I've got a wall there, it makes it kind of hard to push them out anymore. So I've kind of compromised and I went with this this heavily towed angle. And especially listening at the main seats, you're not missing anything from there. But you know, I call this the mother-in-law seats anyway. So anyone back here, they get a really great movie watching experience, but it's not going to sound as good as the front row. But with that said, like I said, I have not missed any information sitting back here. In fact, I feel you're more connected with these speakers sitting back here because the proximity to them just puts you right in the action. When a bullet flies across and it hits this speaker, it's just, you're right there in the action with it. So, I don't know, that's how I feel about it. Let's just work our way on to the back and let's talk about some more subwoofers! Okay, so before I get into any of the subwoofer talk, I'm sorry guys, just bear with me a little bit longer and I'll talk about this big monster that I've got right here. 9 cubic feet! It's crazy. Before I get into anything else, I want to talk about the most boring speakers I have. That's these guys. These are JBL Northridge N38s. Just because they're boring doesn't mean they don't sound good. These sound fantastic. In fact, in the first version of my theater in my old house, these were my mains. These were my front channel speakers, and I had a JBL EC35 as my center channel. These things sound phenomenal. It would pain me to part ways with them, so I think even when I do eventually build my own rear speakers, these are probably just going to sit in a corner. I'm probably never going to sell them because I have that much of an attachment with them. Anyone who's had N38s back in the day or anyone who has N38s will tell you these things sound amazing, 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 amazing. And they are doing more than their due diligence as my surround back channels. When I get the resources to build new speakers, these are going to go away. All right, guys, and I apologize about the sweat show you got going on here. It's just, I decided to put something together real quick, and I was roughhousing with my dogs. We've got 5 dogs. I had them outside. It's 90 degrees outside, 90% humidity, so I am dying. Back here, this is a 9 cubic foot enclosure with a SoundCube HDC 3118 18-inch driver. The driver itself is rated for 1500 watts RMS. I'm driving it with a FiDec 600 watt amplifier bridged down to, of course, 600 watts. Yeah, this thing absolutely screams that even with 600 watts driving into it, I'm getting down into the 10 hertz range, 9 hertz. I think we were hitting over 100 hertz at 100 dB, sorry, at 8 hertz. And that's well below the tuning of this box. This box is tuned to 10 hertz. It's got a 4-inch port and it's tuned to 10 hertz. And it just absolutely screams. There are times when I'm watching movies either at night or if I'm just trying to enjoy my big monstrosity I built back here, I will literally turn off every other subwoofer and just have this one on. And this one subwoofer, 1,200 square foot theater is absolutely rocking every movie. This 18-inch subwoofer back here, this thing weighs 150 pounds. Like I'm putting all of my 220 pound body weight on this and it's not moving. So, so yeah, this is a big, massive subwoofer. And it does a lot, and it's scary how good it is. Considering I built it, I was expecting it to just blow up when I put some real wattage on it. But no, it doesn't rattle, it doesn't shake. There may be some loss in efficiency because I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I slapped this thing together. We did some basic math, some dumb guy Win ISD tuning with it. I built the 4-inch port, tuned it down to 10 hertz. And it responds, and it gets all the way down. Like I said, it gets down into the single digits at triple digit decibels. So
It's ridiculous. Let's move on and check out the last subwoofer, and then we'll talk about some of the more boring speakers.
All right, guys, so last but not least, this is the last subwoofer I can talk about. This is the one I was just building yesterday. This is 6 cubic feet of enclosure, 5.9 cubic feet if we're being semantic or pedantic, or I don't know which antic word you want to use. But this is a pretty big, you can see it goes way back here, and I just built this guy. I was running this as a passive subwoofer. I decided to slap a 300 watt plate amplifier on this thing. It gets way down below 20 hertz. I believe the crossover starts at 20 hertz. It's a very gentle slope, so even at 18 hertz, even at 17 hertz, this thing is still just shaking the house. This thing is built to supplement my rear seats. I wanted a little bit more bass back here, so I decided to give these guys their own personal 12-inch driver. And keep in mind, the 18-inch driver is directly behind the rear seats, but I felt like they deserved more. I felt like my rear theater goers deserved more. They deserve a 12-inch driver. They deserve 300 extra watts. We're giving them 300 extra watts. They're getting it right there. So yes, if you guys are building 2 rows of theater seating, give your rear friggin' theater viewers more bass. They won't complain about the extra bass. They'll love you for it. Let's get into some more speakers. Okay, switching to handheld mode here. Handheld. Atmos speakers. These are Kicker 6500s. They are very good speakers. They have a 6.5-inch driver inside of them and a horn tweeter. 6.5-inch woofer, horn tweeter. These things sound really good. They're mounted like this. That's what the front of my hand looks like, by the way. And those are my other front Atmos channels with the same exact brand. I just bought 4 of them. These things absolutely scream. I gave these things the Miles Davis test. If you guys know how I am with music, I love jazz. I love older jazz. I just fired these things up, listened to some Miles Davis, and was blown away with how low these things can go and with how high these things can go. Then I hooked them up to my CD transport, my TX CD transport, and again, was blown away with just the reproduction quality that these things can, reproduce audio so well. I mean, at least as well as the TAC will allow. They sound good with music, so they sound good with movies. So yeah, that pretty much rounds out the theater. Let's cut to a different view. All right, so that's it, guys. That's all I've got time for. This video's run long. My phone battery is dying because I did not think to get like an actual camera to shoot this with. I've got an actual camera somewhere around here. I just don't know where it is. Sorry about the sweat showing up on my shirt after I got through wrestling my dogs. But yeah, hopefully you guys get a better understanding of what my theater is like now. It will change again. I'm going to add that port to the front subwoofer. I'm going to probably build another cylinder sub here in the near future. I want to build like these. I want to take one of those old barrels and I want to build that into a cylinder sub. I'm looking at about 17 cubic feet internally. That'll be monstrous. I'm gonna have to put an 18 on that because that'll just be so much fun to see what an 18 with 17 cubic feet internally sounds like. Or maybe mount them isobarically, mount 2 18s isobarically in 17 cubic feet and see what that sounds like. Who knows what I'll do? I have no idea. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, David Adams with the Budget Audiophile. Please comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you want to subscribe, you can. I don't know. I don't post all that often, so I can understand why you wouldn't subscribe. But if you want to subscribe, please do. That would be great. If you want to leave a like, that'd be awesome. If you want to leave a dislike, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so take care, guys, and we will see you guys next time. Guys and girls, I don't want to be sexist. It's 2019. I'm bored. I'm going to go edit this video now, and that's going to suck. Peace.